What'd you come here for?
Harlem is mine.
Times have changed. I haven't.
Let's keep going, man. Keep going, man. Keep going, going.
We must fight by whatever means necessary.
They don't think the throne is mine, but I know that it is.
I've been on the street for 30 years, and I'm still here.
Just get it, just get it, just get it.
What's the deal? It's your boy I meant what he said. You know where I'm at. You know what it is. I don't have my partner in crime with me, Power 105, DJ Ramo today, but show goes on, man. Got my man Marquand Smith in the building. The producer. I'm good, man. The producer for the new joint, Bumpy Johnson, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. But before we even go there, you are an actor.
Absolutely.
And you've been featured in a couple of things. So let's talk about some of those things you've been on. If you don't mind.
I've been on a couple of projects. This is like one of my biggest projects. I've been in Poetic Justice, Juice.
You was in Juice?
Yeah, absolutely. I was one of the Truant kids.
All right, so I'm gonna tell.
Samuel Jackson chased me out.
I gotta tell my Juice story.
Okay.
All right.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna tell my Juice story.
All right,
I gotta
no
do
doubt.
this because you mentioned Juice.
All right.
So I was supposed to be in Juice.
Oh man.
I'm gonna tell you what happened. So Malik Yoba, who just before he was Malik Yoba, you know, on screen,
That's my
acting,
guy.
all
I
that.
just spoke to him.
Yeah, it's
New York
crazy.
Undercover, yeah.
So he used to be part of a group called City Kids. Mm-hmm. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, he used to be part of a group called City Kids. He used to have glasses. He used to run around with a guitar. Yeah, all that.
Wow.
So, and he worked he didn't work there. He came up because he was being with City Kids. He was trying to make a difference. He used to come to this place called Berkshire Farms. Mm-hmm. It was a non-secure detention center, and I was there. You know, as a young kid running around Harlem.
Hold on. Before you say Berkshire Farm, I was in Spofford and I was in Beach House. So
okay, so I went to but I went. All right, so I was in Spofford, the one in the Bronx, before they had all these different, and they had the different tables.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you had the Bronx. Brooklyn always had the biggest table.
I was in
you know
B.
what I mean?
I was in B2.
And then hold up, I went to Beach House. They took your sneakers.
Absolutely.
You walked around with shoes and shit
Absolutely,
in the Bronx.
bro.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
See? So we cut from the same cloth.
DFY.
Then they decide
they don't do DFY anymore.
then they decide where they're gonna send you. And I was
youth.
I went where was I? I was in Pius 12 in Brooklyn.
I know about Pius. I know about Pius.
Because they had two houses, so I was in one house, another house. Then I went to the one in Queens. It was in St. John. I forgot what they called. I think it was Johnson.
No, St. John's.
St. John's
down the beach in Far Rockaway.
Yeah,
St. John's. Yeah.
No, but they had a group.
St. John's home.
Yeah, they had a group
boys'
home.
St. John's boys' home. Yeah.
And then they had some shit about 40 projects, I think, like where you could live. But either way, so I got to meet Ed Charles and all them. So I went to Berkshire Farms, right?
Okay.
Which was one of the things. I went up there, and Malik was one of the people coming up with City Kids.
Dope.
So he was assigned to me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Kind of, and we kind of became really cool. And you know, I guess he recognized a lot of potential. So City Kids, at the time, that's when Juice was coming out.
Uh-huh.
So who was it? Omar Epps. I don't know if he was in City Kids, but he knew Omar Epps. Yeah. They got a lot of kids from City Kids because they also taught the kids acting and stuff like that. Yeah. I think Keith Haring was like the founder of that organization or whatever. So either way, he used to be like, yo, you need to come part of City Kids. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like selling drugs. I'm from Polo Grounds. So you know how we get it.
Oh,
we
you from
we're
Polo
different.
Grounds.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm on a different train.
Yeah.
So one day he's like, oh, they're going to show this movie called Juice, and they got all these and I heard about the movie coming out, so he's like, hey, we're going to the pre-screening, you want to come? I was like, yeah, I want to go. So I go with him to the screening. We get to the spot, you know, I see some of the actors and stuff like that. Big shout out James, he was in a couple of things. But we get in there, we watch the movie. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, the movie's dope. And so at the end, I guess the lady who was casting the movie came up and she walked up and Malik said, hey, how you doing? She was like, hi. I guess she was helping him get some of the kids because she was looking when they were putting the movie together. And she said, are you in City Kids? I just said, yeah, because I was standing there with him, you know, and I ain't, you know, we got in free, so I wanted to, because it was supposed to only be for the City Kids. Yeah. So I was like, yeah. She said, you know what? You were the face I was looking for Raheem.
Wow.
Man, so it didn't really register with me right there. It wasn't until years later that I sat one day and I said, I can't.
You know how deep that is, what you just said right now?
It's crazy. And I saw, and Malik is actually my fraternity brother. He's a Sigma now. So when they brought him in, We kind of talk, but he don't remember too much because he's been through so much. Because then shortly after he became New York Undercover.
Yeah, I was
and then
in
he
New York
started
Undercover
doing so
too,
much
yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
but I thank him because he gave me a lot of advice. He helped me out.
He's
You know
a
what I
good-
mean?
He's a good.
He
solid
was
brother.
like my godfather in many senses of the word. Like he would call me, check on me when I was
Yeah.
home. It wasn't just like he was coming up there to do something and boom.
Yeah.
And he actually had this thing called a ropes course, and I would not fuck with the ropes course. Some shit where they let you drop because trust wasn't one of my high factors. So he really worked with me. He actually walked me through the thing. Him and Larry and stuff like that. I got to get a chance to talk. I keep missing him at different events. But either way, so I was supposed to be in Juice and I fucked up. I should have been Raheem. Fuck that nigga. Now let me stop. But nah, go ahead. This
Khalil
interview's
King,
about
man.
you.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what
all
I'm
good.
saying?
Yeah.
So you had Juice, and what other stuff have you been in?
I was in New York Undercover. I was in a bunch of different projects. Like, let me tell you some of mine. Like, I started off. I'm from Harlem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother moved me to Far Rockaway after Rich Porter's little brother got kidnapped, Donnell Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not
Mob
Donnell
Style.
Jones. I'm sorry, Donnell Porter.
Yeah, Donnell
I'm sorry.
Porter,
I'm
Mob
talking about
Style.
Donnell Jones, the singer. Donnell
With Wop,
Porter.
AZ, Gangster Lou.
Donnell Porter,
Naturally
right?
Alpo
Absolutely
and all,
right.
yeah.
And I grew up in Far Rockaway, and I always had a love for the arts.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I grew up, I was just wild, man. I was in DFY. I was in Spofford Beach House. He sent me up north to Lincoln Hall because you got Lincoln Hall, you got Harlem Valley, you got Tryon.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all Division of Youth, DFY, right?
Yeah, those are the ones that was ghetto like
Yeah,
hell.
yeah.
And the
That-
other ones
that
I
means-
I got to go to like the country club shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
When you went up to Lincoln Hall, or you went up to Tryon, you went to Harlem Valley. That means, or Goshen Secure. That means,
Wow,
you're
Goshen.
You're this far from being charged as an adult and being locked up as a young kid till you're an adult. You know, I know my boy Johnny Coates. Shout out, he caught a body. He did 5 years of life in Goshen and came home 17 years later. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I didn't want to go through. You know, I was released. I came back, and my brother got a deal with Uptown Records, and that was the big time of Finesse and Sequest, Heavy D, Guy. You know, my brother, his
Andre
father,
Harrell, Diddy,
Andre
and all
Harrell,
them.
yeah, Father MC. That's my older brother, right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I thought he was from Long Island. He in Long Island.
nah, he's from Far Rockaway.
From Far Rock. Okay.
Yeah, we came up in Far Rock together. So I started off on the road as a roadie. So being a roadie, what a roadie means is like you're carrying coffins. Coffins are 2 turntables. You got to make sure the coffins are on the bus. You got to make sure the dad tapes are on the bus. But I was a roadie. Pac was a roadie for Digital Underground, and Tretch was a roadie for Latifah. So we had this commodity.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? As
You saw
roadies.
Naughty by Nature a little while ago, right?
I was just chopping it up with Vinny. Yeah, like we were just reminiscing. Like, so it just took me to a different space where I was able to see different cultures. I was able to get on a tour bus and able to see the world, able to travel and get out of Far Rockaway. Because Far Rockaway is literally the 6th borough. It's not a borough. It's just a place with.
It's Alcatraz. That's what they used to call it,
a place.
Alcatraz.
It's a place of 1 million housing projects.
Yeah.
So think about Brownsville on steroids. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what kept me sane was actually sitting in a dark room watching movies. So I love movies. Like while everybody was watching Breaking and Crush Groove, I was watching Rebel Without a Cause. I was watching On the Waterfront. I was watching Raging Bull. I was watching all these movies that just inspired me. Like I could tell you what a Sergio Leone movie is, or a Coppola movie is, or a Scorsese movie is. You know what I'm saying? By just watching movies. And when I heard gunshots outside, I just put myself in a dark room and just watch VHS tapes. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
While my brother was out there, he was doing music, he was doing his thing. So that's what kind of like inspired me to really get into the arts of television.
Wow. So you never thought about rapping yourself when you saw your brother?
No,
doing
actually,
it?
I did rap, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was signed to Whitney Houston's label. She had a label called Nippy Inc. So Whitney Houston's nickname was Nippy. And she had a label called A Better Place Records that was signed to Sylvia Rowan's company, which Sylvia Rowan ran with Merlin Bob Electra. So I was one of the artists that was signed alongside with them. You know what I mean?
Got you. Wow. You've had an incredible journey, brother.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about this project that you've been working on. And I understand you've been working on it for over 7-8 years.
No, I've been working on this project, brother, since 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 18 years I've been working on this project. Margaret Johnson, who's like my godmother, who is Bumpy Johnson's granddaughter, I made her a promise that I would go out there and get this project told. She wanted the real story told about Bumpy. Bumpy was really her grandfather, but she was raised like his daughter. You know what I'm saying? So her mother was on drugs at the time. So and Bumpy came from that. His name was Ellsworth Raymond Johnson. He came from that time. Like, you know, you're on drugs, get the fuck out. I'm gonna give me my granddaughter. I'm gonna raise my granddaughter as my daughter. And she just acknowledged him as her father for like all these years, and she just wanted the real story told about him. Like, he was a avid chess player. He read Shakespeare. He read Nietzsche. He wasn't just a gangster. He was somebody that thought things out. Like, he sat down at the table with gangsters like Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, Vito Genovese. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't look at him as a nigga. They looked at him as a African American that was smart, that was a liaison through Harlem, that they can move their drugs or move whatever that was illegal within Harlem, and Bumpy was that conduit.
So let me ask you a question. The thoughts on creating the series based on the grandfather. So have you felt any kind of pressure to like, what is her, like, cause she come at you and said, no, I want it told this way. Like, you know, when you're producing something and directing something and creating something and it's based on something that's connected to them, and they're kind of pressuring you, no, it gotta be this way, it gotta be this way. Like, what is that? What is it like working? I'm not trying to put you in an ill situation.
No, you're not.
I'm just trying to understand, like, you know, what is it like working with this person?
I've been.
Has there been like, have you guys hit like conflict over certain things?
No,
or?
I've. To be honest with you, brother, I'm gonna keep it real. Margaret passed away in 2016.
Okay.
And I've been on this project since 2001, trying to make it come to fruition.
Okay.
She entrusted me that with her vision of our long conversations. Like, I used to come up to Lenox Terrace, and she used to tell me these wonderful stories about Harlem. She used to tell me how she would walk down the street and hear Sam Cooke coming out of somebody's window with laundry hanging out, or she might see she might see James Brown's marquee on the Apollo, or she'll see Jackie Wilson getting a haircut, or she'll see Sugar Ray Robinson at his barbershop with his big pink Cadillac. So she used to tell me these magnificent stories since 2001. And I made a promise to her that I would get the story told in her fashion, the way she wanted to do it.
Okay.
And when this started, I made sure, and this is like I told you, this is an 18-year journey. So 2014, it came to fruition. I brought all the producers or all the usual suspects down to Lenox Terrace to meet her, where she can give her blessings of getting this done.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Wow. So you didn't do the casting for this?
No, absolutely
right?
not.
Okay.
I
because you have some like phenomenal, like you got dudes from like The Sopranos.
Yeah.
You got like you secured Forest Whitaker. Like Forest Whitaker alone.
Well,
like how did he wind up getting in this project?
Well, Forrest is like my big brother, to be honest with you. And I'm not a casting director. I'm an actor. I'm a creator, and I'm an executive producer. Like, I leave stuff for casting directors, but I give input into people that I think would possibly be able to fulfill its character. Even as an actor myself, I had to go through a casting director. It wasn't like, okay, you're an actor, you're an AP, so you put yourself in it. Nah, it doesn't go like that.
You still have to read and
I still have to read. I got callbacks, and then for a role that I went out for, that I wanted to go for, they were like, well, you don't have the strong New York City credits like we need. Mm-hmm. But when they saw me in the dailies, like the president of, the head of ABC flew down, and the head of EPIX flew down and was like, you know what, you look good in the dailies. We want to renegotiate. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as simple as people think. It were a lot of great people, and I had the only thing I had to do with this was say, yo, I think this would be good. You know, we had like a team with like 6 executive producers. And so we sit down like, okay, this is what they want, this is what they want. But it's not as simple as like, we want this, we want this, we want that. But, you know, the characters we have right now, I think, are amazingly strong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We have Paul Savino, he's playing Frank Costello. We have Chaz Palminteri, he's playing Joe Bonanno. We have Giancarlo Esposito, he's playing Adam Clayton Powell. Forest Whitaker, he's playing Bumpy Johnson. You know, and my boy Nigel Thatch is playing Malcolm X. Ilfanesh Hadera is playing Mamie Johnson.
Wow.
Demi Singleton is playing Margaret Johnson. So,
and I know some of you guys probably don't know these that are watching right now, don't know who these people are. I need you to Google, because once their pictures pop up, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this is gonna be a fun." Like I saw, the clips of this is giving me chills.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But let me ask you. I mean, what do you want your audience to take away from what? Like, what is different than this? Because there was a story about Bumpy Johnson, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and I remember that. I didn't know too much about Bumpy. I mean, I'm from Harlem, but naturally that's way out of my age range that he came up. And I know that what I've noticed is that everything that comes out when it comes to gangster life, coming out of Bumpy's name has to be mentioned. And I guess it's because he was a pioneer in certain ways on certain things. And whatever the perception was he was a giver or a gangster, but his name is constantly mentioned. Like, what do you hope that your audience takes away from watching this movie of Bumpy Johnson versus the one with Lawrence Fishburne?
Let me tell you something. What's so funny, right? My showrunner and writer is the creator of Narcos. So the person that wrote this project, Godfather of Harlem, he created Narcos. Ooh, but he also created that movie that you like, Hoodlum.
Okay, all right.
So he's familiar with the lay of the land. His name is Chris Brancato.
Chris Brancato. So, okay.
Chris Brancato. So what it is, what makes this TV series so different than Hoodlum, and this is a 10-episode series, is that we're talking about Bumpy Johnson coming home from Alcatraz in 1963. We're talking about 1963 Harlem, which is one of the most tumultuous times for African Americans at the time. Like, I was told for an African American to buy a hat in 1963, they had to put a shower cap on their head to try on a hat. To go buy a steak dinner, they couldn't sit down with individuals, a family, and have a steak. They had to stand by the bar. So racism was real. So we're telling the time.
And this is all happening in Harlem.
This is in 1963. So what you saw in Hoodlum was the Harlem Renaissance. You saw the Cotton Club, you saw Dutch Schultz, but we moved forward about 60 years later or 50 years later to 1963 Harlem, where it's real. Racism is real. You have the young girls that got killed in Birmingham, Alabama. Medgar Evers just got assassinated. You know, this story is about Bumpy's relationship with Malcolm X.
That's
the story is about the collusion of civil rights in the underworld. Think about 2019 right now. In 1963 is the same thing. The opioid crisis in 1963 Harlem is just the same as 2019. The rights movements for either from the LGBTQ or the civil rights movement, it started in 1963. 2019, this is what we're going through. So everything we're telling right now is so parallel to what was happening in 1963.
Wow, I'm super excited to watch this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all need any extras for the next thing?
I got you, baby.
Come on, man. Let me hold a suitcase or something, man. You know what I'm saying? I need to live my juice. I need to live my juice time, man. I need to get on camera. You know what I'm saying? So I can get a picture and say I did it. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but I'm definitely applauding. I mean, especially I didn't know, you know, just as you began the interview and we started talking, it's crazy how we been to a lot of the same places, and you know what I mean?
And you know what's so crazy? Like our 30-second teasers in front of the new Jordan Peele movie Us right now. So if you go see Us, you'll see the Godfather of Harlem, the 30-second teasers, like in 3,200
So that means,
Third
that's smart. So that means whoever's going to watch that movie is seeing clips of that.
Seeing a teaser. This
And that's like the number one movie right now.
This is EPIX tentpole show, and Swiss Beats is the executive music producer, which is amazing. And Swiss is like my brother. Like he's curated the sound like crazy. We have Rick Ross, we have DMX, we have HER, we have Jindenya, we have Belly, the producer Belly, we have Danny Boy Styles, we have Buddy, and Sony is the partner with this, and Sylvia Rowan is the captain of the ship, along with my guy Zeke Lewis, who's an executive over at Sony, and they believing in this project, man. I'm telling you, man, this is something that's going to be dope.
Wow, this sounds like like I said, I saw the clips.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Whitaker already got
And
Gangster in there,
DMX is on this as well. You know what I'm saying?
He's in there?
He's actually on the soundtrack, which is
Oh, okay.
going to be crazy. Yeah.
It would have been nice if he'd have been in the movie, but
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But hey, I guess time will tell, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, brother.
So so the check, right?
Yeah. I know that was
You know
coming,
what I
bro.
mean? What's the money gonna look like for this? Or what is it looking like? How is your DMs become?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep
They
it
be
real.
like, I knew you was gonna do it. I knew it. I knew it.
You know what's so funny?
Keisha from the third floor, right?
You know what's so funny? It's just like a lot of people hit me up, and you can. It's like you can't be as accessible to people as you would want them to be, because you don't know if everybody has your best interest at hand. You know,
That is
everybody.
true.
Let me tell you something. Everybody looks at your breakthrough, but they don't look what you've been through. Like everybody wants success. Everybody wants success, right? But are you ready to eat ramen noodles? Are you ready to eat tuna fish? Are you ready to eat Jack Mac? Are you ready to do the things? Are you ready to fucking fly buddy pass? Because I can't fly in a private jet, but I got to fly buddy pass. Yo, my man, you got a buddy pass me for $100, $200 so I can get to LA to get to this meeting? Are you ready to sleep on somebody's couch? Are you ready to chase your pension or chase your passion? Wow. And that's real shit. Like a lot of people, they go after their pension. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's all cool, but that's what I'm chasing my passion, because I'd rather be dead if I can't be creative, B. And that's how I was, like, that's how I am.
Well, like I tell people, myself, Ramo, we run a unsigned artist showcase. We deal with major labels, and the one thing I always tell artists is that anything worth having is never easily obtained.
Absolutely.
Because if it was, everyone would have it.
Absolutely.
So you have to ask yourself, like you said, are you prepared to make the necessary sacrifices to get to that next level?
Yep.
And a lot of people, they just want the glitter and the gold, but they don't realize where they had to get it from. They don't want to have to go in those mines to dig out those diamonds.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I'm saying? So I completely understand.
I've made money, and I'm still a Jew. Like, I don't want to spend money in this, because I'm like, because you don't want to go back to where you were at the time. When I left BET, right? I got let go from BET in 2016. They gave me a $4,000 severance package.
Wow. And how long did you work for them?
16 years.
Wow.
So
won't be working at BET.
Yeah. I'm being honest with you, bro.
No, I hear you.
Yeah, I was called what was called a permalancer. You have freelancers and a permalancer. Permalancer, you work every day, all day. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I had to do that. You know what I'm saying? At the time. So I was like, I got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's plenty of times like I've been in the dark, like, we got turned down by 3 networks, bro. Until we found someone that believed in us, believed in our project, and said, you know what? This is a $60 million project. Let's go out there and go get it done, and let's do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm not mad, man. God puts you through things. You know what I'm saying? You just have to be able to be ready.
That's right. You got to go through hell in order to become right. And you'll never know if you're right.
Absolutely, bro.
So, on that note, we're going to take it up out of here so you can get back on production. Marquand Smith, right?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
Marquand
you
Smith
for
in
having
the
me.
building. No problem, man.
Yeah.
Producer of the true and one and only story about Bumpy Johnson, man.
Godfather
Look
of
forward
Harlem.
this month. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be dropping. And I'm going to be in the next season because we got you on tape saying that. No,
I got you, bro. But you
let
got to
them
shave everything off. Don't grow a beard.
Hey, no problem. It's going to stay just like this. So listen, man, give them your personal handles, how they can get in touch with you. Also, the film, like what they should be hashtagging and all that to support this black series.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? My Instagram is at Marquan. That's at MARKUANN, and hashtag Godfather of Harlem. Godfather of Harlem will be being released October, November of 2019. And if you go to your theaters right now, whatever movie you see, if you go see Jordan Peele's Us, you'll see our 30-second teaser. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's what it is, man. Power's in the street. Power 105 DJ
Absolutely.
Rainbow. Make sure you follow. Let's get it. We out.
Let's go.